Welcome to The Clean Slate with your hosts, Daniel Garza and Carson Phillips, providing you with movie news, reviews, and more. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to go to the concessions to get your popcorn and drinks. For your entertainment, this is The Clean Slate Podcast.
Welcome back to The Clean Slate Podcast. I'm Carson Phillips. That was someone driving by my apartment really fast. That guy over there is Daniel Garza. It's 31 Nights of Halloween. We're on night... I don't even know what night we're on.
I think we're on 28.
We're near the end.
I think this is 27. Yeah, we're really close to
27.
the end, guys.
We're in the last week. You know, this is it. Our eyeballs are bleeding.
Our minds are hurting.
Our minds are healed.
I don't know about that.
We trauma bonded through this
Very
experience.
Much so. Okay, cool. So, guys, today we are going to be reviewing Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, 2006. Oh my god, I hate you. Okay, before being sent to serve in Vietnam, two brothers and their girlfriends take one last road trip, but when they get into an accident, a terrifying experience will take them to a scheduled house of horrors with chainsaw-wielding killers.
Ooh.
Alright, go ahead.
Nice. Yeah, so this is a prequel to the 2003 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So yeah, we're kind of in that timeline. We're not in the timeline of the original films. Not that those stick to a straight timeline anyways, but yeah. So anyways, this is a prequel to that film. This is kind of the early 2000s grungy torture era of cinema. Kind of similar to the time frame of House of Wax and some of the other movies we've watched, I think, this season. Basically Saw came along and influenced all these movies. Yeah, this is kind of like in the time period where the Saw franchise came in and like the torture films came in. So you can see those influences in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because that's not what the original film is like necessarily. Yep. But yeah, so this is kind of early 2000s Texas Chainsaw. Plot-wise, I guess my brief little extra summary here is this group is stuck at the farm, and the only added thing basically the logline is the plot, but I do want to add in, we get a little bit of a prequel backstory for Leatherface, sorta, at the beginning of this.
It's like a three-minute scene, pretty much, of what happens.
Yeah, explaining where he came from, how he was raised, and then we also get this like biker subplot in this as well.
Completely meaningless.
Those are, well, they caused the whole problem, or a cow did, really.
I was gonna say it was more of a cow.
Anyways, kind of a nuts movie. But yeah, that's essentially as much of the plot.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much all we need to know. Just a side note, though, this movie, runaway success.
It made so much money. It's so crazy.
$16 million budget, which is not a crazy amount, but it's a good amount. Opening weekend, $19 million. $19 million.
Yeah.
Already got its money back and more. Gross U.S. and Canada, $40 million, and worldwide, $51 million. So...
And then they made another movie because of that.
It's a pretty good success story for this movie, even though it is plot-wise relatively not great.
Save it for your dislikes.
So, all right. So, first of all, likes. It's hard for me to bash on a movie like this because I grew up with this being my Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's so crazy.
I never watched the original until I was older, but I saw this. I mean.
Until this year?
No.
For the podcast.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. It was last Halloween, I think, right? Go back and listen to that. That was a great review.
Was it last Halloween?
I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know when else we would have watched it.
Okay, so this came out in 2006, so technically I was 11 when this came out. And...
That's crazy. Your parents let you watch this?
They did. It was a family movie night. We just popped all the popcorn.
Oh, dang. Barbecue.
Stop. So anyway, so it's hard for me to bash on a movie like that. However, with my likes, first of all, I like all of the characters, like the actors in it.
I don't.
And
understand
I
you.
think they just like, it's one of those moments where they look really cool and they act really well. And that when I was younger, I wanted
What?
to be just like the brother that was trying to like escape from the draft.
Dean?
Yeah,
Or
Dean, the one who was trying to like burn his card.
the draft
Yes,
dodger.
exactly.
The pathetic waste of human
That's
life draft
so
dodger.
So anyway, yeah, I thought like also too because my brother and I would watch these movies and like they're brothers, and so there was that like obvious brother
Daniel.
bonding kind of like thing in here that like right, his older brother does try to protect them. In the end, they, like spoiler alert, they all die. But like
What?
oh my god, no. So anyway, those are my likes on this movie. The last like I have is I thought that the cannibalism aspect of it was crazy to find out. And because like right, they really sell the whole this is based on a true story. Me being like 12 or 13 when I saw this, I was
You
like,
believed
oh my
it.
god, they were cannibals.
You were hooked.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's why I'm saying it's a little bit unfair, but when I get into my dislikes, I do give it its fair shake. So
Okay.
now your likes.
I'll give it my fair shake. Yeah, so as far as likes go, it does the early 2000s vibe very well. Maybe because it is
'Cause
the early
that's what the style
2000s,
was.
but yeah. But there's no movies that are that style anymore, so there is a certain amount of nostalgia revisiting this time period because no one's replicating that, and I think someone should. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And like I feel like Blumhouse would be right, like the right company to do something like this, where it's like that early 2000s vibe. The other thing that I appreciate is I feel like the gore is a little bit upped in this one compared to some of the other films, which that actually leads into a complaint. But I will say I think it is done well. Like
Yeah,
it is
it
gross.
is.
Like when he's being
Yeah, and his
tortured and
arms.
his arms are all messed up. That's
so
nasty
gross.
and like it's disturbing for sure. So if you're a gore hound, that's
There's
your
some
thing.
good kills in this if you're a gorehound.
Yeah,
like-
yeah. There's some good kills.
Yeah.
Some craziness with limbs and whatnot. So if that's your thing, this might be for you. Again, that goes into my dislikes, but yeah, that's about it for me.
Yeah, so going into dislikes, I mean, the plot is it's pretty all over the place. Like, right, you have this family that just becomes all of a sudden, like, they just go ahead and outright kill law enforcement. And they just, like...
The setup is crazy. Like, how this might tie into, like, the first remake. I'm like, what? How does that work?
So that is like a huge portion of like why it's a weird thing. Also, like they kind of have this like justice of like, you know, these bikers and these hippies come in and they ruin our town, and then all of a sudden
There's just no town,
there's literally one street in the entire movie, and then there's a gas station. You're just kind of like the setup for this movie is pretty bad. And then throughout, there's no plot to be followed, which is not necessarily a horrible thing. But that's my biggest dislike on it, I would say, is there, like right when we get into the biker coming in, all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, but he's obviously there just to be killed. Like there's no other reason.
He's like, where's my girl? Where's my girl? And I was like, who's this girl again? Like I totally forgot.
Yeah.
At that point. I was like, who is
What
she?
are we talking about?
Is that a character in
Is
this?
a love story here?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the plot that we do get is a little convoluted. Compared to like, see, I just keep comparing it to the original film because that's the one I've seen the most. And I think I've seen the remake. It's been a while.
I haven't
I
seen the
remember
remake in
watching that
forever.
one. But that one's from my childhood as well. The first
I
remake.
almost chose
But
that one, but I was like, you know what? This one is more what I grew up on.
more child.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just kind of feel like all the added backstory with Leatherface is so unnecessary, and like they do so little of it too that
It's just like the beginning,
stupid.
but
Like
not really.
he was born
You could have
here.
made this
Now
a
he
YouTube
works
short.
here.
And we still
Now he's mad, and I'm like he's already a psycho. Like they're all psychos. Like there's no origin needed there. I will say this is kind of interesting because around the same time, it was a remake era for like the 80s slasher films, because there was the Rob Zombie remakes of Halloween, and those kind of have that same like edge to them where they're like over the top, and then there's like exploration of backstory. But I like the exploration of backstory in Halloween just because there's more of it being done. In this case, I feel like there
it's
wasn't
just the first
enough.
Time that they killed. It's really not more so why is he killing.
There's nothing leading into it. Not that I want that movie, I really don't. but yeah. And then I just think it's more gore over substance. So for the people that like that sort of thing, have fun. But the original film, I feel like it has moments of gore, but the camera always turns away from it. Or like there's a little bit more of a thriller aspect and like that grungier feel to the original that this doesn't quite have. So it's just missing those things. So I feel like it's just bold to make something like this and put it in
and
there.
I would say last thing too is that they really tried to make the antagonists, like the family, have more of like a reason for why they're doing this, right? Like they
it just isn't clear.
Well, they like get mad at them for being
is.
a draft dodger, but then also they're just trying to kill them. They get mad at the bikers just because they're ruining the town, but we really don't see the town that's being ruined. Like we see one scene where they like catcall the girls, and that's it.
Yeah, so not even anyone in the town.
Yeah, it's literally
Like,
just the
it's
gas station. And then the fact that like right in one of the scenes too, she's like, "Oh, do you bang all your cousins that or is it just?"
Yeah, and they're like,
"Don't
"What?
talk about our family that way." Like, what you have
After they murdered
pride?
a bunch of people.
Like, what? So, they're.
Hey, Texans.
Stop. Sorry to all of our.
I will
Texans
say
fans.
there's one part. Yeah, that's fine. There's one. They won't visit L.A., but there's one part in this where he's like mad at him for like being a draft dodger, and he's talking about how when he was in the Korean War there was no rules. Vietnam, they have all these rules, and I'm like, what do you know about the Vietnam
Also, what are
War?
you saying? Like he's the
That
one that
I don't.
created the rules.
Yeah, it's like, but what rules were there in the Vietnam War? It was like one of the
Yeah.
worst, most horrible wars that ever
exactly.
happened. Like the good old days back in the Korean War.
The good, the lawless wars that we had back in our day, and that's what this should be.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Anyway, all right, guys. Well, that is Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginnings. I'm pretty sure you can watch it on AMC Plus. If not, you can stream it anywhere there is streaming. Give it a take. The critics don't like it. Carson doesn't like it. I'm okay with it, and I do rewatch this movie every now and again. But yeah.
Nostalgic revisit.
Yeah, pretty much. So it is a fun, kind of gooey, gory movie that is based on a true story. Ooh. Anyway, guys, so we are at the end of our 31 days of Halloween. We thank you so much for stopping by and sticking around this entire time. And hey, if you haven't, go watch our other videos. Go watch The Fog. That only has one view. And then while you're at it, go watch Alvin and the Chipmunks, because that's our best episode right now for whatever reason.
Yeah, apparently people love the Alvin and the Chipmunks. It's because Dave's hot.
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, guys, well, we will see you